First and foremost, I'd like to give infinite praises, honor, and glory unto my power, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rahakadash. I'd like to give double honors unto where it's due, over to the men that rule and teach well, the elder apostles on down at the great millstone, and to you I say Shalom. This is Brother Kazak coming back at you with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And I think I'm going to title it Example of the Seed. And this isn't intended to be a long lesson. It's just going to be like one and done and a couple examples, and that's it. So let's get into it. I just got done, watching the live camp over for the Dallas camp at GMS. Brother Yuan's page, and there was a man that came across, and he had that Tupac spirit, the Dear Mama demon on him, and like he's like loves his mama and all that, and whatever, that's okay. You can love your mama, but when we are raised by our mamas and not our daddies, we pick up the traits of our mom, like spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and they're effeminate, they're faithless, and anyway, we pick up the traits of our mom, and it's not a manly trait, and the spirit of the Lord is masculine. And in this kingdom, Mystery Babylon, the not so great, aka the United States of America, in this kingdom under Esau Edom, Amalek, the top tribe of Esau Edom of Idumea, we pick up feminine traits. So we, think that the mom carries the seed and like holds all the burden, and like she's the one who creates life, and that's just not it according to the scriptures. So I want to go into the scriptures to filter that through it and show that that's just not how it is. So the book of Numbers, chapter 1, verse 18, it reads, that they there is Hebrew Israelites, okay, from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but more importantly, Jacob, Hebrew Israelites, the so-called African American, so-called Native American, so-called Latino, and the Hebrew Israelite foreigners that were scattered across all four corners of the earth as a punishment for transgressing the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High Power, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. They were scattered across the four corners of the earth and put into captivity, which is bondage, it's slavery, it's enslavement, under the oppressors, the heathen nations. Most importantly, Esau Edom of Idumea, and the top tribe of that is Amalek, the common day Amalekite, known as the Israeli or the so-called Jewish, the small hat people of today. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, we've been, and then the Hebrew Israelite foreigner looks like all the nations, but they are truly Hebrew Israelites, even though they look like the other nations. So anyway, we've been scattered across the four winds of the earth, the four corners of the earth, and one of the curses would be that we would be raised without fathers, and we'd be raised by our mothers, and the woman would hold sway over our life. So we're going to obviously pick up those traits. So anyway, sorry to go off on a tangent, it's the ADD or whatever. Numbers 1, verse 18. And they, Hebrew Israelites, assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month. And they, Hebrew Israelites, declared their pedigrees, okay, their lineage, okay, where their forefathers go back to. The conduit, okay, it's a highway. It's through the seed line of her father. Anyway, declared their pedigrees after their families, by the house of their fathers. Not mothers, not grandmothers, fathers. By the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names, from 20 years and upward by their polls. So this right here is a clear indication that the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, he allows the progenitors of any family, any heritage, person, nation, whatever, is through the seed line of the father, the sperm or sperma. Okay, so it's not the woman, which the woman houses the egg. They are the incubator. And a good way for me to break this down in a simple layman's term, and some of the brothers do, or most of them do, they go into, like a plant. Okay, and in this case, we'll use an apple seed. We're all familiar with apples. It's a fruit tree, or a fruit from a fruit tree. And we'll use the apple seed as the clear indication of this breakdown. And I'm going to try to make it as fast as I can, even though I've rambled on. So, anyway, the seed is from the father. And in this case, it's Hebrew Israelite. We'll use Hebrew Israelites as the apple. Okay, the apple tree. When you go and plant an apple tree in any ground, it doesn't matter where that ground is, the soil, even if it's like hydroponically grown, say it's a soilless medium and it's grown in water, or a soilless substrate, meaning you plant the seed in like something that isn't soil. It can be cocoa coir, it can be sphagnum peat moss, whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm not trying to confuse you. I used to grow cannabis for a living. I was a professional pot farmer, so I know a lot about seeds and stuff like that. Anyway, I'm not no more. I don't condone it, but I know a lot about how seeding works. Okay, and growing crops. And you go and you plant a seed in the ground, and if it's an apple seed, it's going to grow an apple tree. No matter where you grow it or how you grow it, it's going to produce an apple tree. Okay, now dependent on where you go and plant the seed, whether it be in the earth, in the water, whatever, if it be in Africa, Babylon the Great, France, the UK, whatever, okay, it's gonna always produce an apple tree because it's from the seed line of its progenitor, the patriarch, which would be the apple tree, whatever apple tree or apple type it is, whether it be a Granny Smith apple, green apple, sour apple, whatever, delicious, whatever, a gala apple, it's going to be an apple tree. Now, dependent upon the earth or the medium that the seed has been planted, it's going to pick up different traits, sure, which is known as a phenotype, which it's going to have different consistencies. However, it's always going to bear an apple. It's never going to change the progenitor of which the seed it came from the seed stock. So if it's an apple tree, it'll be an apple tree. If it's a Hebrew Israelite, it'll be a Hebrew Israelite in the flesh or in the plant. So if you plant it in the earth, say in Africa, it's got different minerals in the soil, whatever, different climate. It's going to acclimate differently there. It's going to pick up different traits. It might grow faster than it would in the United States, Mystery Babylon the Great, as it would in Africa. It might look different in color. It might taste different. It might have a different sugar content. It might have a thicker outside skin layer on the fruit. It might have different colored foliage, the leaves. And it might grow faster than in another land, whatever. But it's always going to bear the same fruit. And it's an apple or a Hebrew Israelite. Point blank period. Okay, but it's going to pick up different traits, which we'll go into phenotype, just to give you a little bit more understanding so we can build upon it and you may be edified, Lord willing. So let's pull up the word phenotype. Okay, let's see here. And sorry for rambling. It's just something I do. Oh, we'll just go into the genotype versus phenotype, because the genotype, it's an apple. It's always going to be the same genotype. It'll be an apple. Where the phenotype, it'll have different variations. So it's going to pick up different traits. However, it's always going to remain an apple or a Hebrew Israelite based on the seed, the sperma. Okay, the main difference between genotype and phenotype is that genotype describes a person's genetic makeup, and in this case it's an apple or a Hebrew Israelite or any other nation for that matter. but and specifically a Hebrew Israelite from the seed line of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay. Genotype describes a person's genetic makeup, while phenotype describes their observable characteristics, their color, how fast they grow, how big they are in stature, their countenance, their eye color, okay, how much melanin they have, if they're brown, if they're pale, whatever, their facial hair, their hair, whatever. That's the phenotype. But the genotype is the person's genetic makeup. And you cannot change this. Regardless of where the seed has been planted, it's always going to be the same plant from the seed that it's grown from. Just going to have different variations. Okay, while phenotype describes their observable characteristics. Okay, here's an example. For example, someone with blue eyes might have a genotype for blue eyes, while their phenotype might be dark brown because they have had some exposure to sunlight and they've acclimated, okay, to their environment. Point blank, period. It's as easy as I can explain it in layman's terms. So that's what I'm doing here. It's a little late getting this message out, but I just finished up, with watching and learning from Live Camp Dallas, GMS. And if you're not subscribed to GMS Dallas or GMS Yuan, and you want to be edified daily, I strongly suggest that you go to those pages and you subscribe and you hit that bell notification, so that you get notifications for when they do lessons or drop content, and be edified daily. I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory unto my power where it's deserved, and that's infinite praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, which is the name of the Most High God. Yahweh, Ba'ashem, is coming in the name of Yahweh Shai, which is the Lord's only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls JC, Ba'ashem, Ruach Quadash, which is coming in the Holy Spirit. And I want to give a sincere shalom to the hopeful elect, the sincere listeners tuning in. A Yahweh Mahar unto the Lord's chosen holy elect governing body from the seed line of Dawadah, King David. And he's from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He's in that lineage. But it's a strong, progenitor, King David, which would be the elect. And Shalakra I am unto the world, and you fucking devils are done. You're sitting here and confusing the world, and in this case, it's the oikoumene. It's the world all around, making them believe your pseudoscience, your fucking lies, your bullshit, your deceptions. And they're all knowing and finding out the truth, and you are done. And you are going into hardcore slavery. It's Brother Kazak, and I'm out.